Lisa DeShulo. I'm the Assistant Dean for JD and Graduate Admissions over at the law school. We're located in Newark, so just a few miles away from South Orange. And hopefully between now and when you join us at the law school, you'll have the opportunity to explore both campuses. But tonight really is about you and your opportunity to meet with or to meet your advisors at the different schools and colleges that you're hopefully going to be affiliated with. And then I'm just going to offer you a couple of tips and tricks as it comes down to your freshman year and what you can do to prepare for that. So, and then we're going to answer whatever questions you might have. I just wanted to highlight a couple things about the law school. I know you've heard a lot about Seton Hall University as you prepared to join the community, and now that you're a freshman, I know you've had a chance to really explore your community. Hopefully you've gotten out a little bit. I actually have a son who's a junior at Seton Hall and he's loving it. So hopefully you're having the same experience. But at the law school, I just want to focus on the fact that we are student-centered and outcomes focused, which means that we believe in reaching out to you and working with you one student at a time, which is sort of why we're starting now, even in your freshman year. Because of this one student at a time approach, our outcomes are unparalleled. We have the highest bar pass rate in New Jersey, and we have the third best bar pass rate in New York. And part of that, again, is because our community, our faculty, our staff really take the time to get to know you early in your law school career so that we can work with you to create a plan that will provide a meaningful experience towards a career path for you. Not just about getting that job, but finding that meaningful career path and ensuring that you're doing and taking the right steps to be successful in whatever bar it is you choose to sit for. We really also believe in a hands-on approach to learning. We produce practice-ready attorneys. So we have opportunities for our students to get real-world client experiences through our pro bono programs and through our clinics in our Center for Social Justice. So hopefully you'll see that there's a lot of similarities between your undergrad experiences. I know as you work with your advisors and move through your career at Seton Hall, you're going to be exposed to internships and opportunities to get hands-on experience. That's something that is just going to continue into your law school experience as well. And then I just want to highlight one last outcomes figure because it's hot off the press. I just got it today. As you might imagine, everybody's looking to get jobs after they graduate from law school. We've had generally a very successful job placement rate. Last year, we had a 97% placement rate. It's still a little early for the class of 2020, so these are unofficial numbers, but I'm sharing it with you anyway, because this is part of the benefit that you all get as being part of the 3+3 program is you get information probably sooner than some other folks might get it. The bar exam for this year's graduating class was actually moved to October. Most of the time our students take the bar at the end of August, but because of the pandemic, it was moved to October. So a lot of jobs are sort of contingent on that. And so it took us a little bit longer to get our job placement rate. But even this early on, we're at 95% placement rate for our class of 2020. So again, it's about outcomes. And the thing that I want to stress about these outcomes is these aren't just jobs, right? But these are actually in the trajectory of what our students want to eventually do. So it might not be their ideal job, but it's getting them to where they want to go. So for example, a lot of our students will do clerkships. We have a high number of clerkships, and even with the pandemic, we're able to get folks secured in state and federal clerkship programs. A clerkship is sort of a 1 year, sometimes 2, depending on if you're specializing, placement with a judge. And if you have any friends that are going into medical school, it's kind of like the residency year for medical students. It's when medical students are on the floors in the hospitals doing rounds, diagnosing patients. Well, the clerkship program is similar to that for law students. You're working with a judge, you're in the chambers, you're writing opinions for the judge, you're going to meetings with them, you're really sort of learning the ins and outs. And so we have a really high clerkship placement And even with the pandemic, we're really pleased to see that that number has been really successful. So I just wanted to highlight that because I know you've heard a lot about Seton Hall University, but just wanted to give you some insight on Seton Hall Law School. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a brief minute, and I'm going to ask my colleagues to take the time to introduce themselves as well. So these are going to be your advisors. I certainly am going to be here as a resource for you throughout, but I don't know the ins and outs of your programs. But these advisors do. They know what classes you're supposed to take, they know what GPA you need to maintain, and they know what you need to do to keep track so that in your third year, you'll be eligible to transition into the 3+3 program. As I'm asking my colleagues to say hi and introduce themselves, it'll be really interesting for me if in the chat, you all could just tell me which college or which program you're in. If you're in business or arts and sciences and political science or religion or diplomacy, it'll just be informative for me to know. So with that said, I'm actually going to turn it over to my colleagues. And Lee, I'm going to start with you if you want to say hi on behalf of the business school, just sort of tell folks about the program and how you can help folks.
Sure. Thank you so much, Isa. Good evening, everyone. As Isa mentioned, my name is Lee Onimus. I'm one of the associate deans in the business school, and I recognize a lot of the names on this call tonight. I actually had a number of you in class in the fall, so I'm so excited to see your faces again. So just a little bit about the 3+3 in business. I will serve as your overall advisor, but you will also have an advisor depending on what your major or concentration is. So if you're finance or econ, you'll also meet with that academic advisor. I actually have a very similar background to what you all are pursuing. So while Seton Hall did not have the 3+3 when I went many moons ago, I do have a JD MBA from Seton Hall. So a combination of law and business, obviously. And I think hopefully that kind of experience and that background it can help you throughout your program, just thinking about what different career paths you might be interested in, understanding the law school application process and the rigorous curriculum that you're going to be undertaking. The program at Stillman, and I think hopefully by now in your second semester you're already seeing this, is really focused in large part on hands-on learning. Similar to the law school, we're really focused on transforming concepts into practice and giving you that hands-on experience that we think is very important and that you'll continue on in the law school. And also focused in large part on critical thinking and analysis, which will be really important for you as you move forward, both taking the Lsat and through the rigorous law school curriculum. We have a number of faculty members. We have a legal studies and economics department, a number of prominent attorneys who work in the business school that I encourage you to reach out to. While you may not be taking many law classes in your undergrad portion of the program, those faculty members are also meant to serve as a resource for you and are really prominent in their field and their research. So I would encourage you, and I can help connect you. In any case, I look forward to continuing our relationship and providing any support and guidance that I can. And I'm happy to see so many familiar faces. So thanks for having me, Isa.
Thanks so much, Lee. It's so great to have you here. And I'm going to transition over to Diplomacy and International Relations and ask Dean Ursula Sangiovino to say hello as well.
Sure. Hello, diplomacy students. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about the reason we're having this event. We're having this event, the purpose of this event is for you to have an opportunity to be a part of the 3+3 cohort. So regardless of the college that you're affiliated with right now or where your major is, you guys are special. It's going to be the Seton Hall cohort that you will run into each other when you get to Seton Hall Law School. So again, stay connected in that regard. I also have to, it's my bragathon, and the diplomacy students know me, so I'm going to say this, that I found out last week that I have one of our diplomacy students who is a 3+3. She's a junior and she was accepted at Seton Hall. She received her offer last week. So after, emailing her mom, she emailed me. So I am equally proud of her. And I want you to know that I'm around to work with you. You also have our faculty advisors. We'll be keeping an eye on your GPA. As freshmen, you do need a 3.25 at the end of your freshman year. And your overall GPA in this program would be a 3.6, I believe, right, Isa? For this group, it's a 3.6 and the 75th percentile on the LSATs to remain eligible. We are available to chat about this, and I'm happy you can join us. I'll turn it over to someone else.
Thanks so much, Ursula. Again, thanks for joining us. And it is great to see so many diplomacy students joining us as well. And we're excited to have a 3+3 diplomacy student join us next year as well. So it's very exciting. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jeffrey Upton, who's on the political science side and also wears a hat at the law school and teaches our law school students. So Dr. Upton, do you want to say hi?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I see a number of familiar names and faces from one of my current classes, so it's nice to see you all here as well. I am the pre-law advisor for the College of Arts and Sciences in general, but I am also helping oversee the 3+3 political science JD program in particular, and happy to meet with anyone who's interested in pre-law advice. But for those who are in the political science 3+3 program, if you don't have me in a class right now, or you haven't met with me, it would be very nice to see you in office hours at some point. But you also have an advisor in the department, maybe Dr. Polito or Dr. Mott or another professor in the department, who will help advise you with your credits and in general answer any other questions you may have about academics. In the political science 3+3, we do not have the 3.25 GPA requirement for the end of your first year, so we just have that requirement for the end of your third year at 3.6, but we will be keeping up with students and making sure that you're on track. And we're also happy to, of course, discuss other options in case you choose that you want to stay the full 4 years and you want to apply to law school after that point or during your fourth year. You know, we're happy to discuss everything with you personally. So happy to see you all here and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks so much, Dr. Upton. So good to see you. And I'm really pleased to announce that we have a newest addition to our 3+3 community, and that's the religion, religion major, the College of Religion, with Dr. Choi, who is here as well. So hopefully over the next few years, we'll start to see you know, an increase within that area as well. I think there's a lot of intersection. I know we have a chaplain at the law school, and he and I talk a lot about the intersection of law, religion, and politics. So I think it'll be really interesting. But Dr. Choi, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Nisa, for introducing me, and I'm so happy to be part of this program. We just joined the 3+3 last fall, so I'm not familiar with many of you because we're brand new. You're more seasoned than I am at this point on this. And as Isa was saying, there are a lot of intersections between religion and law. The dean of the law school, by the way, Dean Bouzain, was a religion and theology major as an undergraduate. Many years ago. Don't tell her I said many years ago. I didn't mean that. So I'm looking forward to being a part of your time here and into law school. And to some extent, I have to say I'm a little jealous of all of you. When I was in college, I was hoping to, I was planning on going to law school, but I got distracted. And I often think if I had the opportunity in a 3+3 program like this, I probably would not have been distracted and would have ended up in law school. I just ended up getting a PhD. So, so you guys are definitely on the right track, and I'm here to support you and to help you in any way that I can. And I know that many of you, even though right now you may not be part of my department, many of you do circulate through my department because you do have required courses to take through my department. That's especially true if you are in the College of Arts and Sciences. So at any point, if you have questions about your religion core or your ethics core that you might take through the religion department, please always feel free to reach out to me, and I will definitely try to work with you to the best of my abilities. So I look forward to getting to know some of you more in one form or another, and I hope students who come through our program will also get to know you at some point in the years to come. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much, Dr. Choi. And I don't know if I would say just a PhD. I'm actually in the process of completing my EDD, and I don't know about the just part in that. I'm about ready to pull my hair out. I am enjoying the process, but it's like, woo! So it's,
Yeah,
it's
well,
exciting.
when I hear, I have two students from Seton Hall who went through our major and who they're at the law school. One of them I'm particularly close to. She's a 2L, but whenever I hear stories about her classes, it makes me wonder, you know, getting a PhD might be in fact easier.
Yeah, and you know, it's so great because I do get the opportunity to interact with our students, and that's the one thing I love about our Seton Hall community in general, whether you're at main campus or at the law school. It really is about the student experience. So we really take the time to get to know you. One of the things that I really appreciate about our students and the student experience is the fact that there is this community. And so as Dean Sangemino mentioned, I hope that you all will take advantage of being part of this community. We hope to bring you all together more often. Certainly we'll bring you together every year as you progress through your freshman, your sophomore, and your junior year to make sure that we're giving you tips and tricks again as you move forward. But we're also going to be inviting you to various symposia and events at the law school. And so it'll always be nice, I think, if you have a cadre of people that you can go to and say, hey, are you going to that event? I don't know if I want to go by myself, but I really want to go. So part of this is getting to know each other as well, so that you can use each other as support. And you'll find as a law student that that is key. When you talk to any of our law students, it's their study group, it's their section cohort that really gets them through some of the tough times. So start that now and work on what that might look like with your cohort now. So I'm actually going to go back to sharing my screen, and I have a couple of thoughts that I wanted to share with you, and it's not anything fancy, and the only reason that I put it down on slides is to make sure that I stay on track and not sort of get distracted. But also so that you can see it in writing. I think there's something in terms of seeing it in writing that may help ingrain it into your mind. Now, after this short tips and tricks that I'm going to share with you, we're going to turn it over to questions from you folks. So it's going to be a really boring end of the hour if you folks don't have any questions or don't interact with us. So I'm expecting that you'll ask us some questions. And again, this is meant to be interactive. If you have the ability, I'm actually going to ask you to verbally ask your questions by raising your either virtual hand or your real hand if the virtual hand doesn't work. And we'll ask you to actually ask that question. If that doesn't work, don't worry, we still have the chat box, which you've already found. And I will monitor that and make sure that we can address those questions. But I'm just saying that to give you a heads up to start thinking of those questions, because as I wrap up, we're going to be turning it over to you. So your freshman year, just like your 1L year in law school, is all about foundations. You want to build a strong foundation to ensure that you're going to be successful throughout your Seton Hall University career, but also throughout your law school career. And the first step for doing that, which many of you have already done, and certainly by attending today's session you're doing, is getting to know your pre-law advisor. They are definitely a great resource for you to ensure that you're moving in the right path, you're taking the right classes. Dean Onimus talked about critical thinking and analytical thinking courses. Every major is going to have that, and every law school is going to be looking for that. We're looking for critical thinking, analytical thinking, writing, and reading comprehension skills. Those are things that are really critical to your success, certainly in undergrad, but more importantly at the law school. The other thing is that I actually build a great relationship with your pre-law advisors. And so it's helpful if they get to know you and they can be an advocate for you to me when it comes time for you to apply. So it's really important to build those connections. And if you build a really strong connection, they could even be a recommender for you as you move forward through law school or any other aspect of your professional career. You want to make sure that moving forward that you select challenging classes. Law schools can see the level of rigor in your classes. So an A in a class that's not so difficult isn't going to mean as much as your desire to challenge yourself in a 500 level class or 400 level class as you get up into your upper level courses. Again, as you look at these challenging classes though, you want to think about, are they building your critical thinking skills? Are they building your analytical thinking skills? Are they building your reading comprehension and your writing skills? All that is going to be really important as you progress in law school, but more importantly, also as you prepare for the LSAT. We've already alluded to the fact that there is another requirement, another benchmark that you're going to have to meet in order to get to law school, and that's going to be your GPA. So you want to focus on your GPA. You want to make sure that you're doing everything possible starting today to build the best foundation on your GPA possible so that that 3.6 is not unattainable by the time you get to your third year. So focus on your GPA, keep track of that GPA, work with your advisor to ensure that you're on the right path for that. Now, we're also looking for well-rounded students. Our law school community is very active. Our over 15,000 law school alumni are very engaged. So we're looking for well-rounded individuals. So we're also hoping that you're going to take the time while at Seton Hall undergrad to get involved with clubs and organizations. It's certainly going to enhance your own skills as well. It can build your leadership skills. It'll build your networking skills. And so we're hoping that you'll take the time to do that. Your freshman year is the perfect time to explore that, right? You don't have to really engage in leadership roles yet or getting too involved, but see what's out there. I mentioned that I have a son at Seton Hall, and he's actually in the Star Wars Club, which I had no idea existed until he told me he signed up. And the other day during the snowstorm, you might have seen this if you're on campus, they had a lightsaber fight on the campus lawn in the middle of the snowstorm. So it really helps to just do a couple of things, right? It helps you to build your networking skills, your social skills, but it also gives you some out. Like if you're tired, if you're stressed, and undergrad is hard, law school's not going to be any different. You want an outlet. You want people you can turn to who have similar interests as you. That can be an outlet where you can laugh and just really have a good time. So explore those clubs and organizations. We also encourage that maybe you attend a law school or a pre-law organization event. So even if you're not in the pre-law program with Dr. Upton, there are going to be a variety of different events that he'll be putting on through the pre-law program or that I'll be putting on as part of the law school. And we encourage you to attend as many of them as possible. It's just going to give you, again, an opportunity to get to know your community, but also introduce you to the study, the industry that you might be interested in. And the last thing that you might want to think about in your freshman year is you want to think about the law school application process. You don't have to dive deep into it, but you want to familiarize yourself with what those components are so that you can start thinking about how you're going to fulfill those components, right? One of the components I already talked about, letter of recommendation. So even in your freshman year, you want to start thinking about which professor do I want to build a relationship with so they can write me a letter? When I do internships, who's a good supervisor that I can lean on for another letter of recommendation? So you want to understand what the components are. We've mentioned the LSAT. That's the standardized exam that you'll need to take in order to be admitted to the law school. You want to familiarize yourself with what that looks like. So again, you're not waiting until your junior year and all of a sudden that's the first time you've heard or seen the LSAT. So you just want to familiarize yourself with the law school application, what they're looking for. A little tip that I give a lot of freshman students as I do these conversations is you want to start building your brag sheet now. And a brag sheet is exactly that. It's a sheet that you keep handy, either on your computer, or if you still like to write things by hand, have it on your desk. That as you do some cool and amazing things during undergrad, if you get an award, if you get elected to a leadership role, if you get to attend a conference and present, you want to start writing that in your brag sheet so you don't forget. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to wait until your junior year and say, oh, what was that award that I got again? Or where did I present? You want to have that all at your fingertips, because that brag sheet is what you're going to use when you reach out to your recommender and ask them to write you a recommendation letter. You're going to send them your brag sheet to just remind them how awesome you are. And second, your brag sheet can be the starting point for your personal statement. So, you know, for those of you who will say, I have no idea what I want to write about, go to your brag sheet. It might stir up some ideas. So those are some things to think about. Again, you're in your freshman year. We want you to just build the foundation. We want you to explore. It's about exploration and building your foundation. You know, so we want to make sure that you enjoy that time and explore, while at the same time keeping in the back of your head that goal of law school in your third year. So those are sort of my thoughts. And now we're certainly going to turn it over to questions. But before I do that, I just want to invite my co-presenters to see if there's any points or thoughts that they might want to include that I might not have already highlighted. As you know, they've all worked with freshmen. They do more of that you know, advising and whatnot. So I'll open it back up to my fellow panelists and see if anyone wants to add to that before we go into the questions from the audience. Anyone?
I'll just add something real quick, Isa. So I think you made a really great point about getting involved and starting to network. I would just encourage you, Seton Hall, you know, main campus and the law school is very fortunate to have a very active and engaged alumni base. And I know within the business school, and I'm sure the other academic units as well, there are a number of opportunities for current students to engage with alumni. And I think this is obviously important to develop those networking skills, but also to learn a little bit about the types of careers you might think about. And so we have a number of business alums who have also gone to law school or who work with people in legal departments. And I think just making those connections and having those conversations with alumni can help kind of bring ideas to your head. You know, you're all in this program, you want to go to law school, but what does that really mean? What are you going to do after law school? Or, you know, what types of internships might you have? And I think those alumni connections are really important. So I would say in terms of clubs and organizations, yes, join, become a leader, but also look for opportunities to connect with industry professionals and Seton Hall alums.
Absolutely, that's definitely a great point. So definitely think about that. So, and if you're not sure who to reach out to, again, this is where this cadre of advisors can help you. You could reach out to your advisor. You can reach out to me. I can connect you with either a current law student or you know, alums in the area. So definitely think about that. Anyone else want to add to that before, again, I open it up to the audience?
I have a question that some students may be embarrassed to ask, Isa, but I wanted to ask you on their behalf, which is two things you said were a little bit in tension. One is to take challenging upper level classes, and the other is to make sure that you keep your 3.6 GPA so that you're still eligible. So how should students think about navigating that? Should they still take challenging classes even if they're worried that might risk their 3.6?
Yeah, that's sort of the fine line, right? You're walking the balance because you want to make sure that you maintain that 3.6, but the 3.6 alone isn't necessarily going to make a statement to the admissions committee, because you can get a 3.6 in basket weaving, although I'm not very creative, so I might actually struggle in basket weaving. But you get a 3.6 in basket weaving, which is different than a 3.6 in, you know, biomechanical engineering, right? So the committee really takes a look at that. What I would say is, and again, this is sort of why we wanted to introduce you to your advisors, certainly your pre-law advisors, but also your academic advisors, is you want to have a conversation with them and you want to see, you know, is that class going to really be a stress? Or is it just going to be a little stress? Is it going to be hard, but you're going to do it? Or is it going to be really hard that you might want to shift that a little bit differently, right? And only you can answer that question, but it might help if you can have that conversation, that back and forth. I do it with my kids all the time, right? Is it hard? And you can do it, but you got to put a little bit more extra effort, maybe a little less Netflix time, or is it really going to be a stretch? With my 13-year-old right now, we realized that math is really going to be a stretch, and so we got her a tutor, right? So we were able to figure out what that is. Whereas with English, it wasn't going to be, it's hard. It's taking some time away from her, you know, her screen time, but she's able to do just fine and do really well. So you really want to assess that, and sometimes reaching out to your advisor saying, I'm thinking about taking this challenging class. And then you can really talk about what that might look like for you. Is it going to be really challenging that it'll be detrimental to your GPA? Or is it going to be challenging in a healthy way? Yeah, it's going to take a little bit more work, but you can do it. And that's something that you really need to balance and think about, because you want to make smart, strategic choices that will set you up for success for sure. So does that answer your question, Dr. Upton?
Yes, I think so. I'm curious if the students have any further questions on that or anything else.
Absolutely. So Dr. Dean Sangiovino, did you want to add anything?
You know, and you're a freshman, and I know this year it was an interesting year, right, for everyone. But you know, college is a developmental process. So you really, your first year, your freshman year, there are many, many, many challenges. Obviously, you're all still here. You're doing fine. You know, hang in there, and you will see. You will be ready as we move along. You know, next year you'll be ready for another level of coursework, and the same with your junior year. So, you know, remain confident. We're around. All the advisors obviously are around, but you know, be patient. Don't overtax yourself. You're fine.
Absolutely. It is a process. I'm from Philly. I'm in Philly right now. And for any of you that follow basketball, the Philadelphia 76ers, you know, trust the process. And look, we're actually doing really well this year. So Dr. Choi's not feeling it, but you know, they're actually doing really well this year. So it took them a while to get here, but they trusted the process. They trusted the process in their team and in their coaches, and it got here. So same way for you, trust the process. College is a building block type of thing. And so just work through that and try not to get ahead of yourself in the process. So with that said, I want to open it up to all of you who have joined us today. Are there questions, burning questions off the top of your head, or